reasons that utterly escape everyone involved, you're listening to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. Here are your hosts, Gabe Howard and Michelle Hammer. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. My name is Gabe, and I'm bipolar.
I'm Michelle, and I'm schizophrenic.
And Michelle, we decided that if one schizophrenic was fun, two schizophrenics would be better. So we
double the pleasure, double the fun.
So we brought back Rachel Starr. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hello. What's up?
We have a very odd question. We don't want to give you like all the details for fear that you might take sides, but first, do people think that you pursue creative endeavors because you live with schizophrenia?
No, as far as like the crazy stunt stuff, that always comes up, but not for anything else. It's usually like, there's no way you're schizophrenic if you're able to make a video. They're too stupid, or there's no way they can hit play.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to hit record, so.
You know what, Gabe? I'm about to hit close on the window.
No. We must make a podcast. We're contractually obligated. Rachel, one, thank you. This is your second time on A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a podcast.
Yeah.
We're glad you came back. We obviously didn't mistreat you too bad, but we want to talk to you about some physical health problems that you've been having.
Not just mental health, but physical health.
Yep.
Yeah, we are completely unconcerned about
your
mental health. We've completely moved on.
Your mental health doesn't mean anything
anymore. Who cares?
Yeah, we're done. You got a cool physical illness now, so now you're in that health space. Just the schizophrenia thing has run its course.
You know, it really has. It's just not popular anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, nobody likes schizophrenics anyway. They're dumb.
Rachel, you've been in the mental health space for a long time. You've been an advocate for schizophrenia awareness, for mental illness resources, etc. since before Michelle and I. I mean, and I think you were actually a mental health advocate before you realized that you were a mental health advocate, because you were just...
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. It weirded me out when people kept saying the advocate thing, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm just recording videos of myself.
Yeah, you're an awesome YouTube star, and you've just been prolific for a very long time. But this is kind of your first bout with like a really serious physical illness. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've always like made a joke that like I have the heart of an ox, but like the brain of a crackhead squirrel.
I don't know if you've insulted squirrels or crackheads, but that's really awesome. But what we want to ask specifically, and why we asked you here, is because I feel the same way. I have always had great physical health, but from a young age, I had to deal with, bipolar disorder and mental illness and depression and suicide, etc. Michelle, the same way. As longtime listeners of the show know, Michelle can walk up 100 flights of stairs. I mean, she's a badass lacrosse player. So physical health has never been our problem. So we have no reference of comparison to how scary physical illness and scary mental illness kind of relate, and now you do. First off, we're sorry.
Very sorry. We're very sorry.
I survived.
Very sorry. Gabe's incredibly sorry.
You're like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, our friend was really sick. This is a good podcast episode.
Wait, did your mental health and your physical health problem, were they together?
No.
They're not connected.
Oh, Gabe just goes, no, like I'm an idiot. I'm so sorry. Jeez. God, sorry, Gabe. God. Urgh.
So, Rachel, what's up with your face?
Yeah, Rachel, what's up with your face? Like, what's wrong with your face?
Just the way I was born.
No. The non-pretty parts.
For like way over a year, I've been having like this really bizarre acne. Like, it would be like, I kept telling them it's like BBs in my skin. Like, I could feel them. I could tell you where they were coming up at, but they wouldn't like pop. It wasn't like a pimple. They would pretty much come to the surface, and then it would split open into a giant open wound, like the size of dimes, quarters. And this kept escalating until the fact that it got so bad, I actually had like this huge chunk on my face, and it was like they all joined in and connected and became one giant area.
That's sexy.
I thought so.
I mean, but I imagine it was scary. I mean, Michelle is our resident Joker, but this was probably terrifying.
I mean, at first, because no one could tell me what it was, they kept telling me it was acne. I went to different dermatologists, and the first one was like, "Oh, that's just cystic acne." I'm like, "No, I've had cystic acne my whole life. That is not it." And then the next one, I went to a different one out of my insurance, and she said, "Well, this is inflammatory acne." And then at the same time, I start getting these like hives. I broke out into like these weird, like kind of like not sores, but these weird hard things all over my body. So I'm having to go back and forth to urgent care. They're telling me I'm allergic to something. So I do the allergy test, which are very expensive. I didn't realize that when I underwent that.
And they poke you a bunch. Like for that allergy test, they stick you like 100 times in like a pattern on your arm.
Yeah.
Did any of them pick up that you were allergic to anything?
Yes, but none of them made any sense. All of the tests they've done have not made sense. So they're like, "Oh, you're allergic to everything in the world." And I'm like, "But I've never been allergic to anything up until this point. How do you go like from one extreme to the other?" And they're like, "Who knows?" And I'm like Googling it online, like, "Okay, how common is this?" And usually most people like, they'll get a new allergy, not like all of them.
Right. And don't take this the wrong way, but you're not a 20-year-old person. I mean, you've been around. You're younger than me. That's all that matters.
33.
Right. So, I mean, it's not like you were 18 and all of a sudden developed a new type of acne, or, this might be something that we could expect. Again, I'm not a dermatologist, but when I was 16, I had beautiful skin. And by the time I was 18, I was a giant walking pimple. But now I'm 40 and my skin is just kind of the same because I'm an adult. So they just kept telling you that it was something that you would expect to get maybe when you were younger.
Yeah, I mean, it was the allergies. So I'm on allergy medication. One doctor I went to see, he told me it was my diet. And I was kind of like, "Listen, I eat really healthy." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what everybody says." And he almost died that day. He doesn't realize, like, I almost slapped him across the room. Like, I was so close. And
why does nobody believe you?
You're like a professional athlete.
He just said it was my diet, and I had to learn to start exercising and stuff. And I was just like, okay.
Did anyone say it was your schizophrenia? Did they say it was your schizophrenia acting up?
I honestly feel like that was part of the reason they said certain things, but no one actually said it was. Like, no one came out and said that. And it got so bad, like I had to bring my dad to the doctor appointments with me because they were like, "Rachel, how come no one's doing anything?" I'm like, "I don't know what to tell you." I had to ask 3 times for them to take a swab sample.
Oh, wow.
The first 2 said no, and the third time the doctor, she was like, "Listen, I'll do it for you because you're pretty much demanding it, but it's not going to make a difference." I was like, "Just do it."
But what happened then?
They sent in the swab sample, and I got a call a few days later, and she says, "You have to go pick up this medication at the pharmacy right now. Your sample blew up overnight, covered in things."
Wow. So
now you really showed them.
Told you.
This is one of those contests that you don't want to win, but
right. Yeah. Face all of you.
So now they're finally taking it seriously. You finally got a for lack of a better term, a physical health diagnosis, and now all hell is kind of breaking loose because you spent a long time in the hospital.
Yeah, and the thing was, there's other stuff that was going on, and I just didn't realize they were all connected. I'd had this like bizarre shoulder pain, and I boxed, and I got to boxing one night, and it was killing me where I could barely hold my arm up. I'm like, "That's really odd. Maybe I pulled something and just don't remember pulling it." And then the next week, like right away when I went to, because you hold your arms up, I realized I couldn't do it. I couldn't lift my arm. And I was just like, that's worrisome. And then there's this horrible pain in like my lower back. And I thought this was all muscle stuff. I wasn't thinking, oh, I have a spine that would connect everything. Like that just didn't go through my brain. I just thought pulled muscles. And I ended up like half my face like had sporadic paralysis and started going numb. And I kept telling the doctors my face would go numb, and they just like, okay.
What?
But yeah, it was all tied together because I for an infection in my spine, face, and it got into my nervous system, which is why it kind of took out. Yeah.
Wow.
But nobody believed you when you were telling them this issue. They just thought there was nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Why? You don't know.
I don't
just no, just.
I mean, on the surface, I could easily see, yeah, this girl looks like she does not take care of her face. She looks nasty. So I can get that, but if I'm going to you multiple times, if I'm being right back, doing everything you say.
Well, that's an interesting point that you bring up, and it ties together a lot of things that we work on as advocates, because so often we believe that we're being ignored because we're mentally ill, but it turns out that doctors are just ignoring everybody. And please don't write the show a bunch of letters from the medical. We don't mean that in a mean way. We just mean patients often feel unheard. We often feel that we're not getting the treatment that we need, and we go home and feel bad. You go to the next patient. So I guess the question that I would ask is, didn't they start to take you seriously because you were reliable enough to keep showing up and keep making appointments? Did this not show them?
Not until they got that swab sample back.
That they didn't want to take.
Right. I had originally asked for that the first time in January.
And when did they finally give it to you?
In September.
So that's a long time. That's like 9 months.
Of repeated asking.
Wow.
Hold up, Gabe. Here's a message from our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp.com. Secure, convenient, and affordable online counseling. All counselors are licensed, accredited professionals. Anything you share is confidential. Schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist whenever you feel it's needed. A month of online therapy often costs less than a single traditional face-to-face session. Go to BetterHelp.com/Psych Central and experience 7 days of free therapy to see if online counseling is right for you. BetterHelp.com/Psych Central.
And we are back. How long were you in the hospital, Rachel?
Ended up being 7 days, 7 nights, because I checked in on a night.
Gotcha. And it wasn't just regular hospital.
No, I was put in isolation, which is a level under quarantine. So it was pretty much up to the nurses whether they wanted to come in with the full mask. And I didn't blame them if they did, because they had no clue what I had. No one, still, even with my lab samples, they didn't make sense. It technically shouldn't be possible for me to have the infection that I did. And even if you had that infection, you're pretty much, you die really quickly.
So wait, like, how did that make you feel? The fact that you were in isolation and the nurses would want to come in but not want to come in. Did you feel were you upset? Or did you feel disgusting? You were like, nobody wants to be around me, or you're like, I'm stuck in this room. What do I do? I
mean, because I feel like if I had kids and I worked in a hospital and you got some girl and they're like, we're not really sure if she's contagious. She might be, but she doesn't look like it. I would totally be in the little hazmat suit also. But there were 2 days that they absolutely had to wear them. And then they came in, in this little full-on outfit. And then they take off the outfit. And I was like, I'm just wondering, am I paying for a little outfit that y'all keep taking on and throwing away? And they're like, oh yeah, they have little barcodes we scan. So I can't even begin to imagine how much these little temporary outfits cost. But anyway, insurance can deal with it.
You spent more money on clothing that you weren't wearing than you've probably ever spent on clothing in your life.
Clothing. That weird,
So what did you do with yourself during isolation?
Well,
just hanging out?
The first 3 days I was on IVs nonstop, and because they put me on every antibiotic possible because they didn't know what could kill this mystery thing. They didn't know what it was. So they just put me on all of them. So the first few days, I can't even, if you ask me how many days do you think you were in the hospital? I'd be like, I don't know, 3. Because that's to me what it felt like. But wow. Yeah, I was just completely out of it. Just laying in a bed, and you can only go so far. You have this little little cord.
If I had to stay in the hospital for 3 days in isolation, I would just go so nuts.
Oh, and it was a room smaller than my bedroom here, and then the hospital bed was giant, so it took up 70% of the room. So I really just had this little teeny walkway, and I would just kind of go back and forth. I had my mom bring an iPad so I could watch something because the TV didn't work.
Wow.
Oh my! The TV didn't work.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's the worst part of the whole story. They put you in isolation and the TV didn't work.
Wow.
I'm writing them a letter.
I can't even imagine. I feel so bad for you.
That is
incredibly
not cool.
wrong.
That's
wrong.
Yeah. No. You couldn't watch soap operas.
Oh, daytime People's Court. You missed the
You missed People's
Court. It picked
Court.
up a few channels. It just didn't pick up all of them, and so yeah.
Oh, you should write a letter.
I write, yeah.
iPads change the world.
Okay, hang on. Let's. Have you ever been in a psychiatric hospital?
I have not. I've been almost the few times I've been taken, but I was never admitted.
Listen to us. I had like a great question and I'm like all upset. I'm like, man, I can't believe
outpatient.
this schizophrenic hasn't been in the psych hospital. That's,
Wow, look lucky you.
yeah. You know, Michelle's been in like 19 times.
No, 3 times.
I thought she was
you know-
podcasting from one right now.
She is. She is. She doesn't
Yes, this
realize
is-
it. She thinks she's free.
That's why I'm wearing this white gown.
Yeah, we didn't want to tell you because you get upset. You know how your parents only ever visit you on Sundays?
That's why I never go outside. That's why there's locks on my windows.
That's
And I have no hooks.
so you've managed schizophrenia for probably as long as you can remember, for all of your adult life. I mean, weren't you diagnosed pretty young? I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it since I was a little kid.
Right. But this is the first time that you've been because you were diagnosed with the plague. I mean, right?
I have no official diagnosis. They still don't know technically like what I have.
But you were put on medications that they give to people.
For leprosy, like they think I might have had a form of leprosy. I was on a medication that they also use for the plague. Like I didn't realize that was a thing. And the fact that
you have the Black Plague.
Yeah, it's like the plague. Like if you look it up, that's the name. Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like all over the board. Like every biblical disease you could think of.
You know, what was that guy that said to you in that comment that you got the wrong kind of exorcism and he can give you the right kind of exorcism? Yes. That's what you need. The right exorcism. Because listeners may not know that Rachel got an exorcism and it was terrible. And she said, made a video about horrible exorcisms are. And somebody commented saying she got the wrong exorcism and that he can give her the right exorcism. Yes. So really, just get the right exorcism and your plague will go away. That's obviously what's going to help. Obviously.
What you don't realize, Rachel, is that you can get the right exorcism if you get the swab and then they know what exorcism to give you.
Right.
So now you have dealt with the medical establishment from both sides. Yeah. I mean, seriously, from the mental health side and the physical health side. And we know that you are the same person. So obviously you have mental health issues as you're dealing with the physical health. But putting all of that aside, many of our listeners, and Michelle and I included when we started out, we really believed that it was only mental health patients, mentally ill people that were ignored and treated like shit. And again, please, doctors, don't write us letters. We're trying to explain. Now you've seen it from both sides, and we've met health advocates from all sides at conferences, etc. What information do you now have that you can teach the rest of us from being on? Did I mention it was on both sides? Rachel, enlighten us.
One thing I learned like really quickly on that kind of shocked me, like one of the first doctors I went to didn't even like look at me. He walked in the room and said, "Oh, I'm going to put you on Accutane." And I'm like, no, stop, come back. And I'm like, and he wouldn't, I had all these pictures documenting these sores and all this crazy stuff. And he refused to look at them. And he wouldn't even come like within 2 feet of me. And it was just like I didn't exist. And then, of course, like he was the worst by far.
I think it's because you're a woman.
I was going to say, so multiple things like that. Finally, my dad was like, "Rachel, I've never been treated that way." And so he started coming with me to the appointments and most time he just sits there, like really doesn't say anything. But I really do think like that helped having him there. And just, I feel like that was kind of eye-opening for me, just how frustrating. There was definitely a difference between him being there and then him not being there with the exact same doctors, exact same.
Wow.
And I'm not even necessarily saying it was because he was a guy, but almost, I guess you're held to more accountability when there's 2 people there, one person who definitely isn't sick. And I kind of made me think like, it's always good to have someone there with you.
And for every doctor, when they were like, "What medications are you on?" Were you like, "Well, I'm on this, I'm on this, I'm on this, I'm on this." And then they judged you for being on all those pills in the first place. So then they thought, "Oh, well, this girl takes all this medicine, maybe she's making this whole skin thing up and it's not even real anyway. It's in her head."
Well, what kept coming up also was was I doing it to myself? Meaning, was I actually doing all of this to myself? That was said multiple times. Like they were like, you know, this wouldn't be that bad if you would stop touching your face. I'm not gonna lie, I did, because like it did feel like I said BBs in my face. They really hurt, but I was not making them. Okay, they probably would have healed quicker had I not touched them. But no, they were flat out like it was self-mutilation. And I said, I've done that before. This is not it.
There is a big difference between making a condition worse, which all people from all walks of life are known to do, and of creating it from scratch. How did you feel when they accused you of, and I'm not even going to say accused, how did you feel when they inquired about whether or not you were doing this to yourself?
I think if I didn't have the schizophrenia, they would have been like, okay, just checking. But because I did have the history of schizophrenia and depression, and my current doctor that I had to keep listing was like, it's a center. So that doesn't even look good either. So I don't have a doctor's name. I have a center that I put down. I think that's one reason they kept pushing it repeatedly, and I had to keep being asked. And once I started bringing my dad, they never brought that up again.
And this, of course, is a barrier to you getting treatment.
Yeah.
Michelle and I do like to be fair. We really like to say all sides of it. It's not an unreasonable question. Mm-hmm. But people who live with mental illness have to go through all of these reasonable questions that other people don't, which means it takes us longer and more time to get the same care as somebody without mental illness. Mm-hmm. And this sucks.
Yes.
And I don't think people give us credit for that. I can't believe that you survived the plague. Like, I already knew that you were a badass, Rachel, but I mean, God struck you down with the plague. And you were just like, I got this.
Here's the best part. So the bacteria that they found on me, but they say, does it make sense? So that's a whole but they did find it on me, whatever. It has at 14 days, a 20% mortality rate. I've had it for over a year, making it a 500% mortality rate. So those are some incredible odds there.
Wow.
But that's also why they're like, there's no way
they
you
say,
can
how did you get it? How'd you get it?
No clue. But only babies in neonatal, sick little babies and people in extreme ICU for months get this infection.
Michelle, this is why it's important to use protection. You just don't know what illnesses are out there. I have monogamy keeping me safe.
Because we all know Rachel's such a big hoe.
I didn't say that.
I got people in my
You basically did, Gabe. You basically did. You did.
Wow.
You called Rachel a big hoe.
I did not mean, I meant to call her a regular sized hoe. Oh, this is terrible.
So Rachel, what's worse, schizophrenia or the plague?
I mean, I'm going to say long-term schizophrenia. My little plague situation once it started to escalate, it escalated very, very quickly. They literally thought I was just gonna, have a straight up Two-Face with from Batman, my teeth. They really thought this was going to be gone. And it's just shocking how quickly my skin bounced back because it had straight up holes and chunks of my skin was dead. I couldn't feel anything. It was gone. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad you didn't end up Two-Face because that guy was ugly as fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
But he was famous.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's funny because I kind of I'm like, okay, this is where this is going. I need to mentally accept this. So I accepted it really easily. And I just kind of kept making the joke, that I was getting ready for Halloween, my zombie costume. I just had to really stick with it for the rest of the year. So I got this in my mind. I was actually, had such a great attitude. But then the doctors, they wouldn't do a skin biopsy because they're like, you don't understand. It's going to leave scarring. And I'm like,
look what's on your face.
Yeah. I'm at this point, I mean, add to it. Who cares?
Do you not recognize I'm already melting?
Right. Let's go for it, guys. And they're like, well, we'll have to take a big skin. I'm like, well, it's going to fall out sooner or later. So just scoop it on out. So.
I mean, yeah, if you're that insistent to take a skin biopsy, take the skin biopsy.
I know, it's coming off. Here, I'll save some. Take it.
You know what I just realized? So for those that don't know, Rachel is a stunt woman. I mean, legitimately, for real, she does it professionally. And she has set herself on fire, which, as you know, is my favorite stunt that you do. And if all of your skin fell off your face and you set yourself on fire, they could cast you as the new Ghost Rider with an all-female cast.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Wow, you could work with, oh my God, I bet Melissa McCarthy would be in it. Because whenever they reboot something with an all-female cast, Melissa McCarthy's there.
And I'm quite her
That
fan.
Is so true.
Yeah, I'm quite the fan of hers.
Yeah, I love her. She's fantastic.
She was great in Gilmore Girls.
If we could have her on the show, we'd cancel your appearance like literally right now.
That's fine. I'd let you.
We'd send people to your house to just disconnect you from the video feed. Like, you'd be like, what the hell happened? And you'd be like, Melissa. And they'd be like, oh.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
All right, Rachel, it is always awesome to have you on the show. You are our only repeat guest because we've only ever had, well, you as a guest.
Me,
and Gabe Nathan. Yeah. Gabe Nathan. Yeah. Don't forget about Love Bug Trumps Hate.
Oh, I forgot about Gabe. He doesn't listen to the show, so he won't know that we forgot about him. So we'll be fine.
You're going to hear this episode.
Shut up, Rachel. You don't listen to the show either.
I sat through a whole episode for you.
You were on it.
Not the one I
Oh, that's right. That's right. The one you critiqued.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the one I was on. I was there.
That's fair. But how do you know we didn't edit you weird?
Yeah, we edited you saying lots of stuff about Gabe's pants.
Oh, that's my whole life. I have no control when TV shows use me. I'm like, I don't want to know what they used. Better if I don't know.
Okay, Rachel, it's been fun, but we want to take our hazmat suits off, because we want to get away from you because you have the Black Plague. So it's been real.
And leprosy, both. Don't just leave that one out.
Rachel, we will see you later.
Thank you very much.
I like it when Rachel stops by.
Yes, me too.
Really? You don't get like schizophrenia rivalry?
No, she's the best. I think we should just merge together and become a super schizophrenic.
A super schizophrenic? What would that be like? Like, could you imagine like Rachel's ability to set herself on fire with your mouth?
We'd be flaming.
It'd just be like this flaming ball of screaming profanity just running through
I
everything.
have never fucking cursed.
Michelle, tell people about the Define Normal shirt and why they should buy it and where they can get it.
The Define Normal shirt is an awesome shirt because how do you define normal? You can get it at store.psychcentral.com.
And all proceeds help keep the show going. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week.
Plague, 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 plague.
You've been listening to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. If you loved this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Head over to iTunes or your preferred podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. To work with Gabe, go to GabeHoward.com. To work with Michelle, go to schizophrenic.nyc. For free mental health resources and online support groups, head over to PsychCentral.com. The show's official website is PsychCentral.com/BSP. You can email us at show@PsychCentral.com. Thank you for listening, and share widely.